wild.
It's a psyop.
Yeah, seriously.
Ticketmaster's just a branch of the CIA, I'm convinced.
It's a huge scam.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a monopoly that the U.S. government authorized, and then
Yeah.
they were like, well, actually, this isn't working. Matt's S-Box Emporium says, hashtag $2 gang, hashtag peanut gallery, hashtag just gang.
Gang. Like, hey, that's how you know you're a Gen Zer when you say gang, right? Or is that a millennial thing? Was gang a millennial thing? I don't know. All right, guys, we're moving on. Batman himself, he wants to talk to you about insidious body standards for men. It's very hard to be a man in Hollywood. You got to be very careful. They're going to get very upset with you if you don't have the perfect body, and Robert Pattinson says
That's
so.
right.
I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. Okay, I'm being very hyperbolic. I just thought this would be funny because, number one, this story broke, the original part of this story broke like 2 years ago when the Batman was in full swing for production, and he did the interview where he says he's not working out for the movie, and everyone went nuts, and I'm like, it kind of just sounds like British humor to me. And that's what it was. Like, he's like, he very clearly had to work out for the movie. He's just a naturally skinny guy to begin with. But it says, Robert Pattinson is no stranger to getting in shape for movie roles, from Twilight to The Batman, but the actor has also been vocal about insidious body standards men face both in and out of Hollywood. Thoughts, Hannah Claire? Do men have insidious body standards?
No, you tell me what your thoughts are first, because you're a man. I don't want to speak on your turf.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. You need to...
Also, John, you can speak on this.
You need to listen and believe. That's what you need to do here.
Believe all men, hashtag. Yes.
I think what's funny about it is that... all the attention goes to, the insidious body standards for women, but the men kill themselves all the time in Hollywood to look perfect. Like, there's the story about Top Gun Maverick where all of the dudes they spent months getting into shape for the volleyball scene. Well, it wasn't volleyball. They did the weird football.
Their team building exercise.
Yeah, with no shirts on.
With no shirts on. And they spent months getting into shape for it and then pigged out on food.
Which is what Brett and I are doing after the show,
exactly.
by the way.
But as soon as...
It's normal things.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. They also ended up doing... all of the actors in Marvel do that all the time. Chris Evans talks a lot about how when he did the scene in Captain America Civil War where he holds the helicopter to the wall when Bucky's trying to get away, like, he got into shape perfectly for that exact scene.
There's YouTube videos where you can actually watch his regimen, and if you see it, you're like, this is insane.
And Ben Affleck, when he was becoming... Ben Affleck got yoked when he became Bat. Like, he doubled in size. Like when there's the first trailer, and I still remember this to this day, when Tyrone Magnus did his initial reaction to the first trailer for Batman vs Superman. And it's why I don't love those movies, but I do love Ben Affleck as Batman. There's this scene of him getting up out of the rubble, and he's just enormous. Like, he's gigantic. Like, they always talk about it in glowing terms as like the men, it's just their job. They have to do this. But anytime the women have to get in shape, somebody, usually not the necessarily the person who's doing it, but they're going to get teed up with questions from corrupt journalists where it's like, well, what do you think about these crazy standards you have for your job? And then
they'll say, like, women get interviewed and it's like, how did you do this? Like, you're like, everyone just asked me about my diet. But like, that exactly happens to men too, who are asked to bulk up for these roles.
Marvel has laws. Like, I don't know if they still have anymore. You used to have to put on 20 pounds of muscle or something like that to get a job in a Marvel movie. I mean, they get the best personal trainers. They get the best dietitians. They get the best jabs, I'm sure, if they want them. I have no idea. I can't confirm that, but I assume that most of them...
You don't bulk up that fast without some help, I'm sorry.
When it's 3 months, I assume that somebody with a brown bag of pharmaceuticals helped you. That's my assumption. I can't prove it, but logic, it's like when people are like, Liver King's not natty. Imagine my shock. I can't believe that.
I think part of this conversation, like, it sounds funny because it's like, oh, men are complaining about something, but like, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to be like, yes, men also have to face different body standards that are maybe like not natural to everyone. I really like old movies, and I think old movies like actually had people who looked more normal. Like,
they look like actual people,
they look like actual people. Like I think of like old Christmas movies and like Bing Crosby's in it, and like he's adorable, but like I don't think he's like today modern Hollywood handsome, right? Like, but he is a convincing actor and he does a good job in his role. Like, I think that we don't need these body standards unless there is a specific part of the character, right? Like, there could be a time when it's like Batman.
For superheroes, it's
whatever.
kind of different because
Makes
they're
sense.
super, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Or like
You're supposed to be the epitome
Right.
of human evolution.
or like didn't Jake Gyllenhaal lose a lot of weight for like Nightcrawler or something?
Well, not just him, The Machinist, Christian Bale was it The Machinist? Robert John Burke lost a whole ton of weight, like to the point where he was basically a skeletal structure. Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker,
But
did
like,
the same thing.
Was it Renee Zellweger who did like what's that? Bridget Jones' Diary, and she put on a ton of weight. Like
Matilda,
Right.
the lady from Matilda that just came out.
Yeah, I
Maggie
mean,
Smith.
it's not unheard of. I just think that like we are willing to back women up with it, and we're not willing to also support men and being like, yeah, it is crazy that you would also be on a really restrictive diet. And sometimes I think it's because we have this campaign of like, you should love women and all kinds of bodies and do whatever. And like, yeah, totally feel like you should be more.
Woo! Boom!
The room disagrees with
Look,
me.
when welcome to the party. When women,
Brad has to wait.
I'm going to generalize a little bit. When women, or at least the feminist women, see women in great shape, the first thing they think is, where are her organs? Where are her organs? How could I? It's unrealistic. How could I ever look like that? When men see jacked superheroes, they're like, holy crap, I wish I looked like
aspirational.
that. Like,
It is aspirational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's not
true.
Well,
there-
and I think that there are women who see, models or whatever and feel like it is aspirational, but like we have to accept as culture that like just because it's aspirational doesn't mean that you can like contort your body into doing exactly that, nor should you have to, right? Like it's an ideal, right? But like there should be other parts of it. When men look at superheroes who are jacked and they're like, that guy is big and buff, it's not like he just looks so pretty. It's like he is strong. He is conveying an energy that I would also like to convey, right? Like if you see Grace Kelly in a movie, right? Like you may look at her and be like, oh, her waist is so slim or whatever else if you're a woman. But you also look at her and think, oh, she's so elegant. She's so poised. Like I would like that energy
Yeah,
as well.
Grace Kelly, I would say, is probably the most beautiful person that ever lived, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I think that we realize that just like in fiction or in writing, like physical manifestations of who you are and your character there's a correlation. You could see it.
Yeah, there's
right?
charisma and confidence to it also.
Right. But like Hollywood has sold you like it makes them attractive and sexual and it's all about sleeping with people. And so that's why men have to look this way, but you shouldn't say that about women, right?
So does that make like the push for dad bod for men some type of crazy psyop? I watched a video that said
Probably.
that said dad bod propaganda was a psyop.
It probably
I think
is.
it's interesting because like I know women who are very much like, yeah, dad bod's totally fine. Like it's not the thing, because we often see this in a lot of like sociology. Like women are attracted to a lot more than physicality. Men are attracted to, they're much more visual. It's not bad. It doesn't have to be. We don't have to demonize it.
Evolutionary.
It's just part of it. And so like I think the dad bod culture is actually like the idea that like women actually don't need you to look like a superhero to convey the energy that you are dependable and reliable and strong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like you said, the superheroes, they're supposed to be something that you aspire to. But the understanding is also that you can aspire to it and understand that you're not going to actually look like that. And maybe a more pragmatic person understands that look. So actually, you might have a good point here. That actually might.
I might have a good point.
There's an argument to be made here that it's easier for men to aspire to it because evolutionarily they don't have to achieve it. Like you say, like you can aspire to it, but you have a dad bod, that's fine.
And she'll still love you. That's the thing.
And women are supposed to aspire to it, but it is seen as more of a prerequisite. I would argue these days now, I see far more like really like ripped dudes with not attractive women. Like I see that far more than I see like ugly dudes with like that's a sitcom trope. The frumpy dude who's got the impossibly hot wife, and they never really explain why the dude is with like a woman that's like a total smoke show.
We go off on modern culture with this stuff and just what like simping and online culture has done until this stuff forever. But
think Leia Remini in King of Queens. Like she's like Kevin James is Kevin James and he looks like Kevin James, and Leia Remini looks like Leia Remini, and it is what it is.
And like if you talked about it like with men, like yeah, if I'm dating a guy and he has a six pack, like that's cool. I'm not going to complain about it. But if he loses a six pack, but he's still a wonderful person, I'm going to care about him just as much, right? Like that's a big difference. I think for women,
are you saying that a man in that situation, like if as a woman gets older and says has a baby or whatever, they're not going to actually care about it?
What I'm going to say is, I think that's women's fear. Like I think women's bodies are different from men because. Like, I know that I will not be the same shape forever because hopefully, like, I'll have kids one day and that's normal. And, like, the fear is that, like, during that time when you feel like the most out of sorts with yourself physically,
Yeah.
the man is going to be like, oh, but there's someone younger and prettier, right? And like, I don't think that's actually a fair projection on most men, right? I don't think most men are like that.
No, we got an instinct to protect our families, right?
Because Hollywood can't acknowledge that like women want to have children and therefore would put their body through that kind of change. Like they can't acknowledge the complexity of why women fear men rejecting them except for when they look perfect.
Also, we've got decades of Hollywood propaganda where the guy just leaves her when she's pregnant or leaves her after she has kids, not realizing that it's always like it's a rich dude who leaves his wife and marries like a younger woman.
Every Hallmark
and
movie.
That is not the reality for a middle class dude or a lower middle class dude. He's not just leaving his family so that he can date some younger woman. Yes, that might be the experience of slimebags in Hollywood. So that story might make more sense.
That might happen every once in however many people, right? Yeah. But like the reality is like most men aren't so focused on visual appearance that like that is the be all and end of them. Just like women can look past visual appearance when you start dating someone, men can evaluate the value of a partner based on everything else besides physical appearance. Like to stereotype so much and to make someone like evil for this, like that's why you get someone like Robert Pattinson needing to be like, well, hold on, like things are not fair for men either. It's because we're so disconnected from what people are actually looking for.
And I think that's even like a little bit, I don't think he was even making that big of a deal about it, but it's just really funny because he got in trouble. Like his personal trainer on the Batman, like yelled at him or like was like, why did you say that? Like about how he's like, he made the joke about how he wasn't working out. He's like, why would you say that? Like,
I mean, I can understand that guy being like,
dude, I'm working
fit and I'm trying my hard. It's my business.
He's like, you are a toothpick and I'm trying to turn you into like a reasonably like built dude and you're over here.
This guy's like, I'm trying to make a career and like you're just like mocking my work. Like I would not like that.
And also like, oh yeah, somebody in the chat pointed out Pierce Brosnan was literally James Bond and has been with his wife. Yeah, his wife is much bigger now than she was when they met, and he's stood by her
because it's
since day
like
one.
Marriage and are you married? Like
no.
Okay. But I think we can all agree it's about much more than what initially attracts you to someone, right? Yep. Like it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, if we want to get into that, like sort of like, I mean, it's called like limerence or just infatuation, right? Mm-hmm. And you have that state when you're like a year to a year and a half into it, and that goes away no matter what, no matter how pretty a person is, no matter whatever, you get over that, and you have to have something deeper like intelligence or something like that in order to have a sustainable relationship to begin with.
Yeah, and to be fair to Hollywood, like they only need to sell you the first 2 months of a relationship. They need to market a movie, produce it, market it, and make it sell for a while. Like you have a short-term relationship with the characters on screen, and that's why they have to be so
exactly.
pretty.
And inherently, the story told in the first 2 months usually has more drama and more interest than telling the longer-form story of how you keep a relationship together. Is a lot harder to tell that story than it is to tell the story of just how you got together.
Yeah.
So. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.